Well, a very good evening to you on what is pretty close to an ideal evening for football. There is barely a cloud evident. The world and his wife have gone to great lengths to be here for a match of great consequence and massive interest in these parts. Barely a breath of wind, so the football has no excuses for not being at its very best. The teams I know are pumped for this. They are fantastic scenes in the stands. There is a great sense of drama here, a great sense of excitement and expectation. One glance and you know where we are. It is one of the most recognisable arenas for the beautiful game in the world. And boy, does it add to the occasion. Well, this is the perfect game for all parties, not least the neutrals who've just come to enjoy it.
Well, get ready for some high-grade football, Peter. Two strong teams, as you say, full of wonderful individual talent. And we have every right to anticipate some really entertaining football. As to whether we'll see a high-scoring contest, that's a little harder to predict. I'm not complaining, though, because there are good players everywhere you look around this surface, and that's a fine start in itself.
There's the whistle, and here we go. Van Dijk. Sergio Ramos. Van Dijk gets into a dangerous position. And he's... Kane! He's pulled off a fine save.
Well, you can't ask for much more than that. A difficult moment he simply had to deal with.
It away. De Bruyne! Good clearance and very necessary. Ball swung in. Massive leap! Oh, just couldn't turn it in.
Now that was a slick move, and there were several options in the box to pick out.
Van Dijk.
Verdict. Rating star rating star rating star rating star rating star. If you've already got 2020 and have found other means to update the squads and kits, there's very little of note here. The changes are minimal and this edition is likely just for those who decided against picking up the previous entry. But if a cheaper version of PS has you interested, this is a great starting point. Yes, there are plenty of issues with the modes, commentary and AI, but most of that just fades into insignificance when you're actually playing a game. Until the next-gen version arrives next year, this is the best representation of football you'll find. Pros. Remains a great football experience. Half the usual price. Licensed players and teams look great. Cons. Only a very minor update with no huge gameplay or mode changes. Dodgy AI. Master League is a chore. Key specifications. Review price, £25. Developer, Konami. Release date, out now. Genre, football sim. Platforms, PS4, Xbox One, PC. 2021 isn't a new game. In fact, Konami is very open to the fact this is simply a season update. Releasing a yearly update with a new team, players and a few graphical changes has been a request from many yearly football sim players for what seems like forever, with many claiming the usual releases are little more than that anyway. So, while it works on a true next-gen version of PS4 next year, that's exactly what we get here. You've got updated squads, new kits for the small selection of licensed clubs, a smattering of new boots and some updated player and manager faces. There's also the very limited Euro 2020 mode that launched as free DLC for 2020 and some minor gameplay tweaks that actually make this a better game of football than its predecessor. For the £25 asking price, and especially if you didn't pick up 2020, this is a surprisingly good deal. Even if, like me, you're a die-hard FIFA fan, I doubt you could say with a straight face that EA's offering gives a better semblance of the beautiful game than it just simply doesn't. Says the king when it comes to gameplay, with a far more realistic and rewarding game that doesn't feel like a number of canned animations sewn together. Your decisions make a difference in 2021, and there's a feeling of satisfaction when you join multiple passes together and see the ball fly into the top corner that is absent elsewhere. Related, PS5 vs Xbox Series X. An animated wallpaper of Football's 2021.
Well, both sides
if you played 2020, then the gameplay is 99% the same here. The ball physics remain excellent, and the slightly slower speed at which matches happen not only feels more realistic, but it lets you actually create nice build-up tactics rather than just bombing down the wing with Jadon Sancho. The general animations are excellent, and every touch, nick from a defender or shot just about feels unique. If you played hours upon hours of 2020, you'll likely notice some of the small gameplay improvements. Movement feels a bit more fluid, passes and through balls seem to feel better, and I still love being able to manually move players off the ball. All in all, it's mostly a pleasure to play whether you're on the attack or hunkering down at the back. Whereas in FIFA defending can be infuriating, here it's far more a case of being patient and timing things correctly. The first few games I was conceding numerous goals, but after some practice and relearning the nuances of PS I was back to controlling the game. A big downside with this season update mantra is that gameplay issues from PS 2020 haven't been fixed. My biggest issue is the AI of the players, which all too often leaves them wandering randomly around or not moving towards the ball until it lands at their colorful Nike boot. I found myself having to wait for the ball to arrive before I could do anything meaningful. These bugs feel much more obvious when the majority of the gameplay feels very real. Related, 2021 vs FIFA 21. An animated wallpaper of Football's 2021. Referees lack common sense too, frequently giving fouls for the lightest of touches and often deciding against carding a player for what feels like two-footed lunges. And don't get me started on the commentary. Do yourself a favor and turn it off immediately. Back out of a game and into the menus in 2021 feels archaic. There have been no overhauls to the menu structure, tactics screen or in any of the modes. You've got the Euro 2020 mode for the tournament that was shunted until 2021. However, this was available in 2020 and it lacks the atmosphere you'd expect from a mode dedicated to one of the biggest international tournaments around. We'll have to wait until next year for Master League to hopefully get an update, and I had forgotten how frustrating the career mode here is. 2021 adds in a few new manager cutscenes and you can choose a real-life manager to control, from the likes of Ryan Giggs and Pep Guardiola. Actually get stuck into trying to manage a team and the experience quickly becomes a pain. The awful menu structure is tiring and the transfer market remains broken. I was quoted a mere $60 million to sign Sancho, however he didn't sign unless a meager $50 million release clause was added into his contract. Football just doesn't work like this, and it happened with every player I attempted to capture. There are a bunch of annoying cutscenes too that add nothing to the experience. It's a similar story with my club, the rival to FIFA's popular Ultimate Team mode. While it's nice collecting some classic players, the overall experience does little to keep you invested once you've built up a good enough team. Related, best PS4 game. An animated brochure of Football's 2021. I won't drag PS 2021 too much for the situation it finds itself in with licenses, because I feel this is an area where Konami is never going to match EA. The clubs that are licensed are done very well, with Man United's player models looking excellent and Arsenal's new kits looking nearly accurate. Venture to a match between, say, Leicester City and Leeds United and the experience falls flat. Yes, there are ways of circumventing this with option files, however this remains unavailable for Xbox players. Verdict: if you've already got PES 2020 and have found other means to update the squads and kits, there's very little of note here. The changes are minimal and this edition is likely just for those who decided against picking up the previous entry. But if a cheaper version of PES has you interested, then this is a great starting point. Yes, there are plenty of issues with the modes, commentary and AI, but most of that just fades into insignificance when you're actually playing a game. Until the next-gen version arrives next year, this is the best representation of football you'll find.
He gets the ticking off and needs to be very careful now.
Yeah, and he's just entered the last chance saloon. One wrong move now and he's in trouble.
Hits one! Oh, that's a fine save!
Oh, that's a sparkling save. Absolutely sparkling. His reflexes work ultra sharp.
No, he didn't quite meet it right. It's a good-looking cross. And that's been repelled. Tries a shot! And that's caused a worry or two.
Well, I suppose it wasn't the worst attempt if you consider how far out he was.
Neymar tries to get it forward quickly, gets into a dangerous position. Well positioned to make that interception. Hoists it forward. De Bruyne. One way of trying to make things happen. There's a few who could follow that example. Finds himself eased off the ball. Great strength, too strong for his opponent. Well, the defence got the better of him this time, but I'm sure he'll go again. He's got options out wide. Up to meet it! It's there! A great delivery and a finish to match.
Well, as contact goes, that was tremendous, and it helped him to direct it exactly where he wanted into that net. I think when it comes to the aerial department, this fella is definitely no slouch.